Okay, Jobins, Vaginas, we're rolling. Bonus podcast for y'all since Sugar's a fucking puss and he can't always acts like he's busy. Has one thing to do every day. He has one thing to do in a day and he says he's slammed, so he can't make it in for the pod. So we have our first female guest, Mariah, my girlfriend of almost 10 years. Say hello.
Hi, Jobins.
Yes. Finally, you get to meet Mariah. Fuck, we met back when I was, I think, 19 years old, back in Montana. Through another fighter buddy. She lived in a small town. They ended up coming to a party. Started flirting. Messaged her on Facebook. We ended up going on a date. She wouldn't let me fuck her first couple nights. It pissed me off, but I kind of liked her. So,
It was more than a couple nights.
well, yeah, she wouldn't let me fuck her until we were dating, and that pissed me off. So then it was dating, and then what would I always do? I'd always try to be like, well, if we break up...
Oh, we can take a break, and we'll get back together. If we break up, we're going to get back together. And I said, if you break up with me, we're not getting back together.
Because I was just so, like, I can't be done fucking chicks for the rest of my life. I just can't do it. So that was a...
Well, we were only 19, too.
Yeah, 19 years old back in Montana. And then her parents opened up a marijuana dispensary down here in Phoenix. I was training in Portland at the time. Traveling back and forth from Montana and Portland, training at Team Quest. After my first Bellator fight, Team Quest was kind of falling apart. Her parents moved to Arizona. I Googled Arizona MMA, and I saw Benson Henderson trained there. So I came down, tried it out, got to spar Benson the first day, and I was like, fuck, I love it. Now Mariah and her family live down here. Benson trains down here, and now we've been here for, what, 7 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
7 fucking
7
years
now.
So I did a little post on the Patreon page to let you guys ask some questions, and I'll read a few.
Oh, man.
Joshua Westbrook. Did one of you really get into self-improvement before the other? If so, was it hard to try to get the other on board with things like meditation, etc.? Go ahead.
Well, I think you started, like, improving first because you and Sean would go to, like, the coffee shop and read, and you started listening to podcasts first, and then you introduced me to the podcast, so I started listening to those at work. And then I started listening to, like, way more stuff than you and getting my Audible, and then I was talking about meditating and trying to get you to meditate, and you're like, when I do it, I really want to, like, dive all the way in. And you didn't want to start it yet.
Yeah, I do remember that. And I remember the first time I tried to meditate, and I was like, I did it, and I'm like, oh, I just don't see any benefits. And it was just, I just didn't see any benefits to it. And it took, like, a year later, listening to Sam Harris and shit, and then I started again, and it kind of really caught on. It really caught on when I, like I said, when I broke my fucking face, and I was forced to sit there. That's when it really kind of caught on for me. But yeah, it seemed like, because right when we dated, we both didn't know how to eat healthy. We didn't know how to fucking meditate. We didn't know how to good night routine, good morning routine. We were just like fucking everyone else. Ate like shit, ate cheap foods, did what the fuck everyone else did. And it is weird, just slowly, gradually, we started to get...
And we'd kind of start, like, in your fight camps, like, make better food, but then as soon as the fight was over, just go back to eating bad, and then realizing... oh, we can eat like this all the time. And then, like, years later, then you kind of go back to eating that and be like, oh, I don't feel very good from that. Mm-hmm. And then kind of just stop eating it or find a healthier version of it. Just slowly improve.
Yeah, it was fucking bad for a while. I would fight, cut, do a good diet, and then after literally just, like, have an eating disorder. Eat whatever I wanted. And every time I'd eat till I'm so fucking full, I'm dizzy.
And you would, like, if we went out to eat, you're like, I was like, well, we can just bring the rest home. You're like, no, we're not bringing anything home. Like, you'd finish it, and you would hardly be able to walk.
Stuff my fat fucking face to the gills every time I'd eat.
It was bad. It was an eating disorder for sure.
But I feel like, okay, so we didn't live together for how many years? Dating?
6.
6 years we didn't live together because I was traveling for fight camps. Sugar and I got an apartment. We didn't live together.
Well, so we would, like, stay with each other, too.
Yeah.
Or, like, when we first moved down here, we were living with my parents for a little bit, but then you got your own place. And then I had my horses, so I didn't move in with you. And I think that was like super beneficial for our relationship.
I think it was huge, instead of right away dating for a couple months and then moving in together.
Well, and every time we saw each other, it was like really exciting, and like getting dressed up to see each other, not just scrubbing out all the time, and go do things or go on dates. And it just kept it exciting, seeing each other 2, 3, 4 times a week, and staying the night with each other a couple times a week. Like when I lived up in Prescott, I'd just come down on the weekends, or you'd come up on the weekends. Yeah.
And I feel like probably a big reason too why we were fine living separate is because we both had our shit that we love so much. Like I love fighting and love jiu-jitsu so much that I could literally think about that kind of stuff all day if I wanted. And Mariah loves her horses so much. She's so passionate about it. She's been doing it forever. So she could think about her horses and horse racing and all that shit all day too. So I think that was a big reason why we get along so good, is because we have our own things. Yeah. Like she's not my main passion and I'm not her main passion.
I think that was huge because we loved something else, and like put that almost before each other, like because we were so driven on that, where we weren't being like super obsessive with each other. Like we still loved each other and stuff, but we have those things to focus our energy in besides just like bugging each other.
Oh yeah, for sure. And just what are you doing, and just finding little fights and being bored.
Yeah. And then just like not being with each other every day, you're like happy to be with each other those couple days, and then you're focusing on your stuff, trying to improve, because we both have really big like goals that we're trying to accomplish. Yeah. So we're focusing our energy on that.
Yeah, it was weird. The growth, kind of happened all together. It definitely took a big step once we started listening to those podcasts together, and listen to other adults and other people that are really, really smart say how they go about life and what are their habits and what does their mind run like, and just different things. Mariah would come home and tell me about the podcast she listened to, and I'd be like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome. And then I'd come home and tell her about the podcast I listened to, and she'd listen to the podcast. So we were always on the same page, growing in that way, which I think was a big part.
Well, our conversations like changed too. It wasn't about just like we're not gonna just sit here and hang out on our phones. We're gonna talk about what podcasts we listen to, or what books we listen to, or what we learned today, and then like look into that more, or find another book on that, or listen to that book before bed. Or it definitely, when we started listening to the podcast together, like probably 3 years ago, it really started to change a lot when I started listening to them, because you were already listening to them. When I started listening to them too, it really changed. That was like a huge step. And then adding the books in there, then slowly changing like morning
Sorry
routines.
Everyone, that's Eckert banging at the door. Yeah, for sure.
Night routines, and seeing like you don't see the benefits, I don't think, right away, because at first it's like maybe a little bit frustrating, or be like, why am I getting up this early to do this extra thing? It's dumb. But you start seeing the difference.
And I think you really see the benefits after you do it for a while and then stop doing it. You're like, holy shit, that was actually fucking really benefiting me. But yeah, I definitely think the podcasts that we can relate to, and the relationship podcasts, listen to other relationships and all that stuff where we're like fucking both on the same page. And it's nice too, because Mariah didn't do jiu-jitsu. We've been together for almost 10 years, and Mariah didn't do jiu-jitsu until 2 years ago?
Yeah, year and a half
ago. She didn't start jiu-jitsu because it was always rough and tough. But now that I opened my own gym and started my own program, she started, and then she started lifting weights and doing the yoga. So those are all other things we have in common.
Yeah, because before, like, I didn't really like to work out. I liked it if we went to the gym together and worked out, or if I did Jarrett's class or something. But I wouldn't be like, oh, let's go to the gym and work out. Like, you'd have to talk me into it.
Yeah.
And then I would see you guys doing jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I'm not fucking doing that. Or you tried to get me to do it at UFC gym, and I smacked my head off the mat and almost started crying. I'm like, not doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, the jiu-jitsu's been fun too. Just because at the gym we got a group of girls doing it. And like I said, Mariah's the most girly girl I know. She's not the type to be rough and tough like a fighter chick. She's super girly, so her doing jiu-jitsu is pretty cool, and she's starting to like it, so that's good too.
Yeah, I love it, because like when you started teaching at Gents, I'm like, well, I get off work at 4, so I can either go home and sit at home and maybe do a workout at home, or I can go to Gents and take a class with you and hang out with you for an extra hour, because we don't see each other that much during the day, so I'm like, I'd rather go, let me just try it, see if I like it.
Yeah.
And then
instead of just being lazy, I worked all day and just flopping on the couch and turning on a show.
Yeah, which is like definitely an old habit to come home, just watch TV. Now we don't really watch TV during the week, only the weekend, which is a huge change for me. Like I'm gonna either do yoga or lift, do stuff for the gym. Mm-hmm. Because I usually ride in the morning, but that's been a really big change too.
Yeah, for sure. Matthew Hunter. What initially made you attracted to the Red Hawk? How do you feel about him fighting? Any funny stories about dates going wrong? What initially attracted you to this fucking hoss? Boom, 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 boom.
Well, initially, when we first met, I liked his friend.
And you thought I was gay, didn't you?
My friend thought you were gay, yeah.
Just because I was fucked up at a party, just acting like a fag. And there's nothing wrong with fags.
He was sitting on a stool with his legs crossed with a sweater tied around his shoulders, talking like he was gay.
And what do you think, Jobins? 3 months later, I'm smashing.
And so then my friend's like, no, he's gay, Mariah. And I'm like, I don't think he is. He's just pretending. But I liked his friend. And then your friend invited me over to your guys' house. Mm-hmm. And you were kind of flirting with me from across the room. And then you added me on Facebook.
And then when did you
But I kind of but that night I started crushing on you when you were flirting with me. Because that other kid wasn't really paying attention to me.
Yeah, acting like a cool guy.
Yeah, so then you were flirting with me. And you added me. So then I messaged you first.
Oh, okay.
And then you invited me to a party. And I was like, no, I have to school in the morning. I'm not going. And
then we went on a date. And I had a Honda Civic, like a 1993 Honda Civic. And my friend had like a 2000 Ford Ranger or something. Mm-hmm. And I borrowed his Ford Ranger and hid my Civic in the car because I was like, this girl's fucking rich, and I just want to fuck her, so I'll just maybe seem like I'm like got money.
And you think that I was rich, and I wasn't, because I was driving my parents' car because my car overheated, and it was like a little old Subaru, and I was driving their brand new like Malibu. Mm-hmm. So you thought I was rich, and it wasn't my car.
Yeah.
And we went to Outback Steakhouse where
that's right.
Our waitress was giving me mean mugging me.
Another chick that
had no idea why. And she's like, and then she knew Tim. Then later I find out she was trying to date Tim. And he said he can't date her because he's busy with fighting. But he's on a date with me.
That's it.
So she probably spit my food that night.
Probably. Matthew Hunter, how do you feel about him fighting?
It was really different because I hadn't watched any fighting. I didn't really know anything about fighting when we started dating. Mm-hmm. So it was a whole new experience. I thought it was like, whoa. But then once I was around it more, it was just normal.
And your dad was always a fan of it.
Yeah, my dad and brother were big fans of it. They would always go to the local fights. And so they were like pumped. And actually my older brother trained at the dog pound. Mm-hmm. So you knew him a little bit. And then, but I was so passionate about my horses that I understood that passion. That I was like, I would never ask you to stop fighting. Like, I thought it was awesome that you had something that you loved so much.
Yeah, that's cool. Any funny stories about dates going wrong? Never dates go wrong. I think the first date we went on, was it a movie or was that the second? It was like a double date, and I was like with my friend, and I was like, "Hey, let's go to this movie." She's like, "I'm not going to that movie."
But that's because I knew your friend, and I was comfortable around him. I knew him since high school, so I was being a brat.
And I was saying, "This bitch, this isn't gonna last long."
But I got my way, and we went to a different movie.
James Scott, how much has a more open type relationship affected you both? Positives and lessons learned. Oh my God, for me, it just feels like there's just so much weight off my shoulders, just being free to be able to be myself like I am around my friends, be that way around Mariah. Not have to, if there's a girl in the store, I look at the girl and I maybe say, Mariah, look at that girl's butt, and she sees a chick or whatever, and it's just more like she's my friend and I can talk to her about whatever I want without having to monitor stuff. You know, and it's not like out of the window me fucking another girl ever. If there's an agreement and it's talked about and stuff, and that just makes me feel free and not like I'm fucking trapped and have an owner. Like I felt most of my life when I was Jehovah's Witness, just like, holy shit, I'm not even in charge of my life. So for me, it's so important for me to just feel free, and it makes it that much better that Mariah's a hot chick and she's my girlfriend, and I can be that same way with her as I am my other friends.
Yeah.
So how about for you?
Well, like listening to like the podcast and stuff, like it sounds cool in theory or like good, be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but actually like trying to apply it, it's super hard, and it's scary,
that's the truth.
Super like things come up to where you're like, you didn't know you could feel like that, or just like feeling like you might lose that person, but actually when you're like hanging on tighter, that's what's gonna push them away more. And especially with you, when you felt that way your whole life, that you feel trapped and you want to get out of there as fast as you can. You know, so it took a while to understand that, but it's also cool like opening up, just being able to talk about just being honest more. You know, like, because if I feel like something's being like hidden from me, that's my biggest thing. Like, you don't want to be trapped, but I don't want to be lied to, and that's my thing. It's like, I just want 100% honesty. I want to know everything, and I feel like, well, we can laugh about things together, like, or be like, oh, I think you think that girl's hot. Oh, I think that guy's hot. Oh, you think that's your type? Oh, yeah. What's your type? You know, and I don't know. It's just kind of fun, and we're just friends.
It feels like we're more friends than like, oh, fuck, I signed this contract with this person. I made this agreement that now I have to hide things from her because I made the wrong agreement, and I only can act this way around my friends or on my own, and I have to hide all this stuff because...
Yeah, and you can like change. It's not like an agreement. It's our agreement, and we can make it change whenever we want.
And that,
and it's committing to each other. Like, I love you, and you love me, and it's not like, well, this is the only way we can do it. Listening to the podcast, we didn't really realize there was other ways to do it, and I'm sure Tim's felt this way the whole time, but he could never bring it up to me, and it took courage for him to even bring it up to me, because I'd have meltdowns for sure.
Yeah, and I think too, like, before internet, before podcasts and everything, all you see on as a relationship is what you see on the movies. Oh, it's just this fairy tale love story the whole time, and he only thinks about her and she only thinks about him, and that's it. That's a fairy tale. You grow up fucking just watching those shows over and over and over, so you're like, oh, I get married, and that person's just committed to me 100%, and I'm committed to them, and it's this fairy tale.
Well, and I didn't, like, until you started telling me, like, that the guys think like that, but like, well, how am I supposed to know that? I don't know how guys think. Like, I'm pretty naive and innocent, and being like, well, the way I think is like I would never cheat, or I would never do that because I love you, and that risk isn't worth losing you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I would be like, that's not even going to cross my mind, because that's not an option, you know, until we start like listening to those things, and just being mostly it's just being able to talk to each other. But it takes a while to be able to talk to each other without there being like emotions that are like brought up, and then you're like crying, you know, or freaking out, or like, you know, not feeling good enough. And so there's a lot of stuff you have to work through on your own. And stuff that's uncomfortable bringing up, even like me watching porn or something. Like Mariah she's a girl, she's pretty, like naive, but never watched porn before. And I was like, oh, check out some of this porn. And then we watched the porn together. And she's, the big thing that made me like her a lot is her being super kind of open-minded, not just stuck in my fucking way. This is the way it is because my parents did it this way. Nope, this is the way it is. Blah, 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 blah. That kind of person drives me fucking nuts. And if she was like that, there's no way it'd work out. Well, I think like you have to make your own judgment call too. Like, why not try something once, see if you like it, and it might not be for you, and you might not like it, but then you'll at least know. Like, don't let other people tell you, be like, no, you won't like that. Like, you're not me, you don't know if I don't like it, so just try it, you know. And like maybe the first time we ever watched porn together, it was like kind of awkward because I'm like judging the porn, and I'm sitting there thinking about what you're thinking about, so it's like it wasn't like attractive thing, it was like super awkward. But then like we kind of just like keep going with it, you know, like talk about it more, because no one teaches you how to talk about things. Oh, I know. So. So that was a big... And our communication has gone a lot better, because I used to be like, I just can't talk about it. I can't communicate. I don't know. I just can't talk about it. Yeah. And now it's gone a lot better. And like I said, just like Mariah said, it wasn't easy talking about telling her, like, I love you so much. Like, I don't know how to explain to you. I love you so much, and you're the only partner I want. But my mind, my body, I want to have sex with different females. Just sex. But I love you. I don't want to love them. I don't want to have another relationship. But I enjoy the sex. I enjoy the chase. Being able to explain that to you without having to just like... But you're good at explaining it too. And then even if I would start crying, like, you wouldn't... Like, sometimes you get a little bit mad, but like, because you know... Because like I get mad that you cry. That when you get sad, I'm like,
I get mad
because it hurts my feelings. And
yeah, but it makes me feel bad.
You're not trying to do that,
and it makes me feel bad. It's like, God, am I a dickhead making her cry? Yeah. I'm like, no, because it makes sense.
But even though it makes sense, and it maybe makes sense in my head too, there's still emotions that come up
because of previous conditioning.
Yeah, and it's more like self-worth and like trusting yourself and like, you know, and I think people like, oh yeah, you just bring it up and talk about it, but that's not how it goes. And
then once that partner's feeling bad and you're feeling bad, like more than anything, you just want it to be over. So you just want to leave. Like even me, I just want to leave. And you want to leave, but if we just sit in it for a while, sit in it, and it's hard, just keep talking it out. And I think a huge thing was really trying to, okay, I'm going to try to go into her brain and see how she's seeing this thing. She's seeing it way different than me. And then you trying to see how I'm seeing it, and then meeting in the middle. Be like, that was really big. Not like, no, this is the way I see it. You don't get it.
Yeah, and like not leaving, and then maybe it's quiet and awkward and we sit there and like let our emotions come down and still talk about it. Because before you'd kind of get quiet and get mad at me and be like, well, we're not going to talk about it or whatever, you know. But now just sitting there and like, because for me it's important just to keep talking about it till we're figured it out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just leave and then just be like questioning and wondering. But if
and
we're
then
on
we're like,
the
just
same
drop
page,
it.
Yeah. But we talk about it until we're on the same page.
And that's why we've gotten to where we're at. That's why I feel like we got a fucking pretty good relationship. And it definitely was the podcast, kind of like Aubrey Marcus. He talks about open relationships and like different than the type ours is, because he has different like girlfriends and stuff. But just him talking about it and make sense of it and listen and hearing all these different experts like Dr. Chris Ryan. All these different people talk. I'm like, damn, I didn't even know there was another way to live. I didn't even know that. I didn't know there was another path you could take. I thought it was you get married and now you're a piece of shit because your eyes are going to wander. You're going to want to do things. You're going to want to explore. And now you got that guilt on you. I'm like, there's no way. Because I know I'm not a shitty person. I love Mariah and I know I'm not a shitty person, but I want to fuck other things.
Other things.
Girls.
Oh, you know, there could be things too.
Oh, Christ. And I also think a big thing too is your parents and how laid back your parents are. And your parents aren't the type that are like, go with society. That's so your parents always supported me fighting and doing this. They're not like, he needs to go to college. He needs to get a job. No. He needs to get a real living.
No, my parents want us to both follow our dreams and like be supportive of that.
Yeah, and that was big too because I think...
And they're cool, like...
And you're similar to your mom.
Yeah.
A lot super laid back, kind of quiet. Yeah, it's good.
Super rational. And, like, even, like, our holiday parties, you know? Like, we're not all drinking. We're all smoking weed at our holidays parties.
Yeah, everyone's pretty cool and laid back. So it's just
chill, yeah.
Yeah, which is that I like being around. Like I said, I like being around that type of person that doesn't give a fuck. They're just going to act however they want. People that are uptight, acting this certain way, it drives me fucking crazy being around those people. I want to do a little something to stir it up a little bit.
Yeah, you do.
Sam Tanum. Is Mariah planning on trying MMA some days? Congrats on the blue belt.
Fuck no.
Yeah, no.
That's your thing, not mine.
Yeah. Gi jiu-jitsu is the perfect sport for Mariah.
Yeah.
MMA is too fucking rough.
I don't want to get punched in the face. I don't want to get punched.
Everything hurts when you do MMA. And you got to get used to everything hurting every day.
Yeah. And that's your thing. And that's why I never really even tried jiu-jitsu either, I think, too. Because it was, like, your thing. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't want you to come and be like, I'm going to be a bull rider. Be like, no, that rodeo's my thing. Mm-hmm. You know?
And even doing jiu-jitsu, it's giving you almost a whole new respect. Like, oh, because it's fun. Because now you're competing and now you're having to recover with me and your body's sore. And we're having to do similar things now. And that's been fun.
Weight cut.
Yeah, when she has to weight cut, she turns into fucking cunt 101. Don't take her bread away.
No. Or chocolate.
Okay, Big Zach. How to message chicks on Tinder when you just want your pee-pee wet and when you want a relationship?
Oh my God.
Just shoot them an emoji, sugar style, fucking eggplant fire emoji, and they probably won't message back. Yeah, that's the thing. Even if I'm flirting with a girl, I make it to where it's not like, I'm trying to get to know you. I want to know what kind of person you are and build a relationship. I treat it as like like you're hot, you have nice tits or whatever like that.
But you're still really nice.
Yeah, I'm always nice. That's a big thing. I'm always nice. But other friends, like, they talk to girls and then they start like building these relationships. They don't know how to get to that point.
You make it clear that you're not. Well, you make it clear that you have a girlfriend.
That's
and
right up.
You make
it
clear that you're not looking for a relationship. So I think if you don't have a girlfriend, that might be a little bit harder.
Yeah, because on the Tinder and stuff that I have, there's pictures of Mariah and it says I have a girlfriend, so it's like right out there instead of they're trying to guess.
And if they're not like looking for that, if they're like, oh, that's or whatever, then that's not the person for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's dumb to put it out there and like try to hide it and then be like, oh, well, actually I have a girlfriend, because it's just misleading and it's not truthful. And that's my whole thing, is like being truthful. Or you'll show me the messages like, I want to see what you're talking about, what you're doing, or you tell me.
And one thing you've gotten better about is just looking at it and be like, oh, kind of knowing what it is when I'm messaging those girls. And I think you having your own Tinder a little bit and messaging those girls, you're like, oh, this is what it's like. I'm like, that's exactly what it's like.
It's like a game. It's not like how I actually feel.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're saying things like I might not actually feel that way, but you just say those things, where before I would have taken it really personal.
Yeah.
Like,
and a lot of time, like sometimes at Tinder, I'm like, damn, is this app on your phone that if you can type out the right words, you're going to get tit pics on Snapchat.
And that's your whole goal.
It's pretty fucking fun.
Come home and just ask you if you got any nudes.
Yeah, you get any nudes today? A few.
Love you.
A few. Were they fat? Yeah, they were fat. That's what's weird, is literally 90% of girls, and there's nothing wrong. I think fat chicks are hot. A lot of fat chicks.
I don't know why he's dating me.
Just because you're little petite, you're the type of girl I want to date. But literally 90% of fat chicks. I'm like, fucking A's, but fuck it.
But you like that.
Yep. Aaron Vince. Since day one of Journey Through Jobinism, I've wondered if Tim has the nicest tits in his relationship. God, my tits.
You don't have tits anymore.
I know. I'm starting to get pectorals. Mariah's got nice little cups on her.
They're pretty good.
Okay, what are the top 3 things that keep your relationship strong? Danny Mosquita. Danny.
I think having our own passions, for sure. Like having our own interests and our own hobbies, but then also having some hobbies that we do together. Yeah,
I think for sure it's super fun growing in jiu-jitsu together. We both really, really enjoy food. She has her horses. I have my shit I like. Eckert, no. So I think having the things in common are big. We have things in common we enjoy talking about. We can set down our phones and we talk. And so probably listen to the podcast, having our own passions, and then all our things in common for sure.
Mm-hmm. And communicating.
Communicating's fucking big.
That's probably number 1.
Communicating's huge.
And it might be awkward at first, or like we weren't very good at communicating. We were really young, but we've gotten a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, because you want to walk away from a conversation when they don't get what you're thinking. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, well, she's not getting what I'm thinking because I'm not explaining it good enough. And I don't understand it good enough to explain it. But when I really, really understand it, then I can explain it. She sees how I'm seeing things. So it works out good. Earl M. Bedison, what is your Mariah's love language? You can take the survey and find out for free?
Oh, that's the 5 love languages. There's a book. We've never done it though.
What about Mariah makes you a better man? And same question to Mariah. What about this fuckface McGillicuddy? LL jokes. What about Tim makes you want to become better? What about Mariah makes you want to be a better man? I don't know. I truly think that Mariah wants me to be completely happy and be myself no matter what. And she wants me to be happy. So that really makes me want her to be happy no matter what it is. I want her to be happy and enjoy her life no matter what it is. That's what I think.
But also I think, like, for me, like, Tim going on his journey and, like, you see that and I want the best for him, but I also want to be the best I can be for myself and for you. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to slack today, or be like, oh, like, I'm going to disappoint myself and I'm going to disappoint you.
Yeah.
You know, so not wanting to let you down makes me a better person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. Because especially in the nights and stuff, like I said, it's hard to cook for yourself. Like, it's fun. We put on some tunes, take a rip, cook together, and then we fucking do the cold plunge, and it gives us fucking resistance every single night, but we force each other to do it, and it's fun.
Yeah, just like make each other accountable for those things. Like,
Yeah.
oh, come on, we could just have this little thing tonight. But like, no, let's save that for the weekend, you know, or just like that sort of thing. Yeah,
both focused pretty good on improving, you know, just improving all your stuff, improving all my stuff, for sure. Big ship. Are there any challenges being a coach, student, and partners simultaneously? No. I treat her pretty much the same as I treat all the students. Sometimes she can start acting like a baby, and she wouldn't act that way to another instructor, and she does to me, and it makes me a little mad.
That's for sure. Sometimes I get a little attitude, but I try not to do that, but sometimes it comes out. And I have to remind myself I wouldn't do that to somebody else. But that's really the only thing.
And you've been getting better about it.
Yeah.
And I think, like, when I'm in that gym, I know how much to push you.
Yes.
And you're like, I don't want to, and you want to get out of it a little bit. I'm like, okay, then fucking leave.
Yeah, but you
are you gonna listen to me or not?
And then you can sit out, and I'm like, fuck you, and then I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Well, all right, go sit over there with the kids.
Yeah, but I'm getting better about that.
And you respect me enough to where when we're there, you fucking listen.
Well, I have to remember too, like when we're there, like you're my coach.
Yes.
My boyfriend. So that's what I try to remember, because I wouldn't, if it was like Taquino telling me that, I wouldn't give him that attitude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's getting better too. Do you guys have a song? No. We used to say that all the time. Oh, this is our song.
No, you used to that Tim McGraw song the very first time. You're like, this could be our song. And I'm like, okay.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
no, I didn't. That's too gay.
It's not. You're like, this could be our song.
What does Mariah do during the rodeos? Devin K.
I barrel race. It's the only girl event. Well, now they have breakaway roping, but yeah, season's coming up. It's going to be busy.
Yeah, so barrel racing. Matthew Hunter. When did Mariah find out she was into chicks, and how did you find out? That just came that came about us trying to like be more honest and explore what you're into, and me telling
into chicks.
But you think girls are attractive?
For sure.
That's
I'm like, oh, that girl's really pretty. Like that girl's.
That's being into them.
But okay, but I don't feel like I'm not gonna go date a chick.
Yeah, I know you say that.
Yeah, but I say that, but I feel like you say it.
I'm not gonna go date a fat chick. I'm into them.
Okay, but I'm not like a lesbian. I don't want to date a chick, but I think girls are pretty.
Yeah, so, and when did that come about? That came about when we started talking about things. Like, did we even start talking about like what my fantasies were, and like,
yeah, and then like at first, if you even bring up that, like, what's your fantasy, and then you have to kind of think about it, because you're like, I don't know, or like you're embarrassed, don't want to tell.
So you say something that's just kind of vanilla.
Oh yeah, or you say like threesome and be like, oh okay, like why not? Let's try it.
Yeah,
we've never tried it, so why don't we try it? See if we like it.
Yeah, but because other girls aren't like that. They're like, no way is my man seeing another pair of tits.
Yeah, or maybe they're not attracted to girls. Like, I think girls are pretty. Like,
yeah,
girls are pretty. Most of the time,
yeah, they're not hairy
more,
fucking
like, pretty
freaks.
girls than hot guys.
For sure. I look at a guy and I'm like, how do girls even like guys? But yeah. So.
But what if it's a girl?
When did we talk about it though? When did we like bring up that first time we did a threesome? How we talked about it for a while though. We explored it. We didn't like jump right into it. Well, yeah, we're gonna do it in the next month. 2 years.
Yeah.
Probably 2 years.
Yeah. Until
anything happened where we talked about it, made sure it made sense.
And then maybe
make sure you weren't
like little things, be like, oh, that girl's hot, and then I would be like, oh yeah, she is. Like, kind of like you have that bad reaction at first.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, she is.
Well, it's almost like an insecurity.
For sure.
Like, oh, I'm not hot.
Yeah.
I'm not hot. Like, you bring it back to yourself right away.
You.
Yeah, and it's not at all.
Yeah.
Another question. Joseph Liebly. How do you convey your relationship when you're the professor on the mats and she's a student? Is it the same, or do you act different for the sake of others in the class? Yeah, when Mariah's going with another girl who's a student, I'm coaching the other girl. And then I'll coach Mariah in some positions, and I'll coach everyone else literally about the exact same. Sometimes before class or after class, we'll focus on a little more detail with her, but usually treat her the same.
Yeah.
It'd be fucking probably annoying as shit if I treated her different to other students.
Yeah, because they're paying a membership. Like, I don't deserve special treatment just because
yeah,
they're your girlfriend.
Exactly.
Like, they're there. They've worked 8 hours a day too, and they're there to learn, and they're paying a membership, so they need more than me, really.
Yeah. Elliot Van Ruin. Mariah, how did your parents get started in the weed business? And can you tell us a bit about the company in the early days legislation? That's funny, because when I was 19, I'd be like, what are your dad and brother always doing in the garage back in Montana? And they're like, oh, they're just cutting trees or something.
They're working out.
They're working out?
Because Bridger, my brother, would go in there and it'd be like jamming his tunes loud. And we had like workout equipment downstairs. I'm like, oh yeah, they're working out in there. Because I didn't want to tell you. I didn't know how long we were going to be dating. So I wasn't going to be like, oh, they're growing pot.
Yeah.
But then my mom's like, you didn't tell him yet? I'm like, no. Then I told you.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, that's cool.
So it started off just like small in Montana because you could have like caregiver license. And then my dad and older brother went into business together and got a bigger grow in Deer Lodge. Then my brother knew it was going to come down here, so he came to Arizona first, started everything off, and then wanted to make my dad the main cultivation manager, so then we all moved down here.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool story, too, how their parents kind of got into it at the right time and took some risks, and it worked out. It's a pretty cool
And
thing.
if you would have known my parents, especially my dad, you would have been like, yeah, right.
Really?
Not growing pot.
Yeah.
No. Like, what? Like, when they told us that, we were like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a pretty coul story.
Well, it's gone a long way. It's from our garage to, like, now this huge corporation.
And it's given you, your brother, all your family jobs and been able to live down here for so long. And
now my brother's in California with a different company. My other brother's big into the CBD now. My sister and her husband are at this cultivation, and my dad and me. So
yeah, so it worked out pretty cool for everyone.
Yes.
Jax, where are we at for time?
38.
Perfect. All right, Jobins, Vaginas, hope you enjoyed. We'll try to get Sean and Danny to go on here and do a one similar, or we'll have all four of us. Pieces.
Bye.